Hey everyone, welcome to the second week of January. I'm so excited to have you guys here with us today. And a quick announcement is to not forget about the leadership training that is going on the 31st, okay? So it's the last Sunday of the month, and so we can all serve together that day, and then we'll have lunch right after that we will cater. And don't worry, there'll also be childcare available for your kids. They'll either be in the same room or the room right next to us, so they'll be close by. Well, we're talking a lot about sharing what we have today, okay? And so a lot of the activities are going to go along with sharing. That first activity that you're going to do, though, is everyone's going to get a piece of paper, okay? So everyone have a piece of paper and then make it to where it's like a cone, to where whatever ball that you have will not go all the way through the cone, but where you can easily pass it to another person, okay? So each one will get a piece of paper. You can tape the piece of paper to where it stays intact, and then they're gonna be passing this ball around to each other, and they'll be able to share something that is a fun fact about themselves every time that they transfer it or get the ball in their cone, okay? And so have them start with that to where it's just like a fun little fact of whatever is going on in their lives at the time, okay? The next one, you're gonna need some playing cards, okay? And with these playing cards, you're not gonna use them as traditional playing cards, you're gonna do a stacking game, okay? So see if you can get a flat surface, probably just the floor, and then have different teams together with a couple of your decks of cards. You'll have at least 2 decks of cards. And you'll be able to, or at least you can split the deck into 2, and you'll be able to try to stack the cards on the ground and see which team can get the highest stack between the 2 teams, okay? Now, the point of that one is that more doesn't always mean better, because sometimes you can have more on the ground, but you didn't stack it high enough, or more cards is getting higher and higher and higher, and it's too high, but the people that didn't do the foundation didn't do it right and it fell down too fast. So more isn't always better is what we're trying to get at with that, okay? Now this next activity, you will go ahead and have some baskets filled with a lot of different items and some paper, markers, and dice, okay? And so the basket will be filled with a lot of random objects, okay? You should probably have 2 of those if you're gonna have 2 different teams doing this, and I recommend having 2 teams do this, okay? So combine your groups together for this activity after the large group portion, okay? But you'll have a basket filled with just tons of stuff, put that on one side of the room, and then you will have random pieces of paper that you can put down on the ground. Now most of them can be blank, it doesn't matter, but put at least 5 down in between between the basket and the kids, okay? So I would have 2 teams where they're standing on the same side of the room. Then you have 5 different pieces of paper, but make sure one of the pieces of paper is a review card, okay? Now, if they land with the die on the review card, then you ask one of the review questions that's on the same piece of paper, okay? Now, there's 10 of them. So now, if they roll 3, but the review is on number 2, then they don't have to do a review question, okay? But see if, with amount of rounds and stuff that you'll be doing, I think you'll be able to get through all of the questions, okay? So don't worry about that. But they will basically get all the way down. Once they roll the die, they're rolling the die as many times as they can until they get enough to get the bucket that is filled with stuff. And then they'll take one item from that bucket and bring it back to their team, okay? Now make sure that the buckets have the same amount of items in them before you start, okay, so that it's fair. And then they'll bring it back to the team. Whichever team gets every single item out of the bucket first and all the way back wins. Now, if they land on a review card, then they have to stop and ask you one of the review questions and then answer it, okay? Doesn't mean they have to answer the truth, like, truthfully. If they don't get it right the first time, that's okay. Help them out a little bit. Try to get them to understand it and make it right, but then they can just continue and move on and roll another die, okay? And while you're doing all of this, talk about different ways that you have shared personal experiences of you sharing something to your friends, your family, your household, anything like that, okay? This next one, you'll need the movers and sharers activity, okay? Now, each kid can get basically a couple of coupons or, a whole sheet of coupons if you have enough of that. And they'll be able to write down different things that are talents or things that they could give to other people or share with other people, okay? So they'll write down something that they can share or give to another person. They'll go ahead and cut all these coupons out and get a paper clip and stick them together. Then this week, what you want to encourage them to do is to share or give out these cards and actually do whatever is written on that card for the people that you're sharing it with. Okay, in this next one, you'll have a little bowl with some water in it, and you'll have a couple of different random objects that you can put in the water, okay? Now you'll have get in groups of 2 or 3 for this for the kids, so that they can drop these things into the water, and they'll notice when they drop something into the water, it creates that ripple. Okay. Now the goal is to understand that small things or big things all create a ripple of some sort. So even if they think that their talent or their gift that they're giving or whatever it is too small, then they need to understand that, hey, everything has that same ripple effect. Okay. So even a small little thing in our eyes might be something big to someone else. Okay. That's why we want to share our gifts and talents with the world. And while you're doing this activity, you will also open up to Luke 16:10 and review that verse together and how it relates to the story, okay? Okay, now this next one is a prayer activity. And so you will have one of these cards in your box. And so I want you to share this with the kids. Now, this is Mr. Sardar, and he is one of our missionaries that we support overseas in India, okay? He is an amazing person who has done a lot of things for the country of India. And so we want to share that with the people, with the kids. And so what you're going to do is kind of just explain that's who he is, that's what he does, and that there are people around the world that are sharing the gospel, sharing the good news of Jesus, just like Mr. Sardar, okay? On the back, you also have some info about even the mission trips that we do as a church. And so you can kind of go through these, talk about them. And now these kids may not be able to go on a mission trip for another couple years, but we can still have the power of prayer on our side, okay? And so kind of talk about how the church supports them financially, how the people that tithe support them financially, how the people will send money directly to the missionaries, all those things. But it's not just money that gets them anywhere, okay? It's also prayers and time that make these people as effective as they can be, okay? And so talk about how our prayers can be extremely effective in helping what people like Mr. Sardar are doing in India. And so we can pray for them together and encourage his mission together in India through prayer. And so take some time and pray through and about the missionaries that we're supporting, but take some time and pray specifically for them and praying that God would do awesome, amazing things to them, okay? Okay, and that's it for this week. Thank you guys so much. The word for this week is sharing is caring, okay? Or the phrase, I should say. And our rules for life is all about sharing with others. So come say that to me. You will get into the drawing for the gift card, okay? Thanks, and see you guys soon.